marketing is so important in anything you do in business, and a lot of businesses don't get that. Businesses will put, you keep talking about the brick and mortar, businesses will put improvements into their infrastructure, but they don't always put their improvements into their digital infrastructure, into their marketing, their presence online. They don't see the value all the time. They may say, you know what, I did a website 10 years ago. Okay, well, a lot changed in 10 years. A lot changed in 3 years for
Absolutely.
us here at Elmwood, right?
Welcome to the Lion's Den, hosted by Lance Bachman.
Hey everybody, welcome to a special edition of the Lion's Den. I'm Lance Bachman and I'm fired up here to have a good friend of mine, L Zone, CEO of the Elmwood Zoo. L Zone, thank you for being on, my man.
Oh, absolutely. I'm excited you're here, man.
You know, you went through a pandemic while this year. We stay in touch. It's been the ups and downs, but you managed somehow to build this year and keep moving forward, which I love. Can you talk about how the pandemic hit your zoo?
Yeah. So, Lance, we're anticipating 2021 to be the best year Elmwood Park Zoo has had in its 97 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And we're anticipating that because we had an amazing 2019 and we figured a lot out in 2020 to become relevant, to become different, and to, again, educate our consumers as to how we can bring them a better zoo. So with all that put together, we're gonna have a great year this year because of those changes.
What would you say, you know, for the viewers out there, because you are a brick and mortar, you got to put people here. You know, when I talk to doctors or dentists or lawyers, and they're like, I'm a lawyer, I'm a doctor. You're a brick and mortar, you're a retail organization, you're no different than Nike. You have to sell a product. You have to sell a product, and you leveled up the product here, incredible. But you still got to get people here for you to make money. Besides donations, it's a whole different thing we'll talk about. Can you talk to me about how you pivoted this year and built trust to get people into your brick and mortar?
Absolutely. So our product here that we're selling is education. We're selling conservation. We're selling great entertainment for families and for children. And just like you said, just like the doctors and all that, these animals need us. We need them. A lot of our animals are endangered. We had to pivot majorly this year, just like everybody. I mean, we talked about these masks and how we have to learn to go out in society today. A lot of struggles. It was growing pains. In the beginning, it didn't work out that great. June, July, slow, awful. August started to get people figured out. More people started to trust the system. They started to trust what we did. We started putting a lot of videos out. Eric Donovan, our director of operations, put together a solid plan, educated our entire staff to make them feel comfortable that we're going to open the gates and start bringing guests in. It was frustrating. In the very beginning, you've been to our zoo a lot. We had 8,000 people in this zoo in one time. When we first opened, we were told that we could only have 300 people in the gates. 300 people. So
that's literally 1%? No.
It's not even that, and that includes staff. Thank God they didn't say it includes animals too. I don't know what we would do. But Lance, we couldn't survive. We were constantly writing letters, emails to get the numbers up, showing the local government, who was great to us. The county did great by us. But we had to constantly show them that we were ready to open. Lance, in the beginning shutdown, when we were closed, we were being in the same category as museums, bowling centers, and movie theaters. 95% of my facility is outside. I could always close my indoor space, but my outside is just like a park. They were able to open, but we couldn't open because how the state classified us. So we had to educate the state, not just our consumer, we had to educate our health professionals as to what Elmwood Park Zoo did, what we are doing, and we had to get our plans approved just like everybody else.
So, you know, you are a small business because people think zoo, they're thinking you're doing $100 million a year. I mean, you look up the numbers, it's public knowledge at this point. I mean, you're going to probably do $10 million this year on assuming ballpark, a little bit more?
I think we're going to be somewhere around 10 to 12 million.
10 to 12 million.
We were 12 million in 2019.
And, you know, it's amazing that you came back to being there in a pandemic. But you said, and we talked a lot, you know, full transparency, the same way I talked to Matt Ratjab, other people that are my clients I become good friends with. And not you're friends with every client, but there's certain ones that are similar you become friends with. The struggle is real, but you can either lay down and die. I mean, let's be realistic, right? Or you start fighting, doing what you did, educating the government. You started putting stuff out on social media. You started doing more email marketing. You started taking videos and saying, hey, we are safe. There's other people having experience here, and people aren't just dying in the street here, you know, the way.
Absolutely.
Can you talk about why you had to take such a I don't want to say offensive approach, I'll say.
Absolutely. You know, Lance, you and I both probably know a lot of business owners that had to close their doors or couldn't figure it out.
100%.
Right? We also probably know a lot more that did figure it out because of who we are, and we know who our circles are, our friends
Absolutely.
and business people. There are a lot of like-minded individuals. In order to run any business to be successful today, in order to run anything, you need to figure it out. You need to find a way to be creative. It's frustrating when I hear that schools are still closed and some schools aren't and they're not figuring it out because these kids need it every day, Lance. We had to put together a product. We had to get our 100+ employees to feel safe about it. And then we had to start bringing guests through the gates. So we had to. And we had to send out those video responses and the testimonials and different things we did. We had to do it through digital platforms because we needed to get into them. Nobody was doing marketing.
No, we'll talk about the marketing side, but I got to say personally as a comment, I don't want you to comment because I remember my company's privately, you work for a different company. You know, I think it's lunacy that casinos can open in Philadelphia, that Wells Fargo Center can open, and you have 30,000 people at a Super Bowl, and schools are still closed. Yeah. I mean, just the lunacy of that. I don't want you to comment.
I appreciate that.
But, you know, you look at that and you say, here's a guy figuring out how to get people in the Elmwood Zoo safely. I walked through here this morning. They immediately stopped me and said, could you put a mask on? And they were super nice. I said, I didn't know you had to wear a mask outside. They said, yes, you do. I said, no problem. You know, but you guys figured out a way to make it safe, and you're also communicating it to people, which,
absolutely.
Thank God there's people like you. I will ask you this. Do you think if the government ran more like a business, some of these things, would we see better results? Because you're in survival mode when these things happen. So are all these other small businesses watching this podcast.
Absolutely. I could tell you that for Montgomery County, for the local government here in Norristown, they did poll and work with the business communities.
Thank God.
I do think that some of the larger pieces of government, I know that they're pulling in information from business owners, but we are the ones fighting this fight every day. We need to have a voice at that table every day.
You know, let's talk about it. You brought up marketing, Al, and how has marketing changed? You're a young guy, you know, we talk about a lot of different business stuff. And you are right. I do believe the circle of business people you're around is what you're going to achieve, you know, in life. But your marketing, how has it changed you, and what's your belief on marketing now online than 6 years ago?
You know, marketing is so important in anything you do in business, and a lot of businesses don't get that. Businesses will put, you keep talking about the brick and mortar, businesses will put improvements into their infrastructure, but they don't always put their improvements into their digital infrastructure, into their marketing, their presence online. They don't see the value all the time. They may say, you know what, I did a website 10 years ago. Okay, well, a lot changed in 10 years. A lot changed in 3 years for us here at Elmwood, right? So finding ways to stay relevant, finding partners like yourself, trusting in them. I get it. I'm a big believer in letting the experts do what the experts do, Lance. I can't fake the fact that I know how to do digital marketing. But I know that looking at your results and looking at what you've done for us, and just starting small, you know, getting a little trial and you proving yourself to us, you saying, just like I do every day here, let us prove ourselves. Let us trust us. We'll start with a small donation and then we'll grow a bigger donation because organizations, foundations, they trust us. It's the same thing with us. You went 100 miles an hour in the very beginning when maybe I could only afford 30 miles an hour. But you went 100 miles an hour because you knew the longevity of the relationship was more important. And again, I say the relationship because
100%.
that's what anything you do in business and marketing is about. It's a relationship. I would lie if I say it's not a light switch. You know, it doesn't happen overnight, but you kind of helped it happen overnight for Elmwood. We became relevant in about a year. We were closing in 2011. By 2012, 2014, we were triple our attendance. By the year after that, it just kept snowballing. So it is amazing how fast you can gain traction with the marketing online.
If you do it correctly. And this is the thing, you know, you said, and this is what I laugh about. When I walk into meetings and I hear the word vendor, I start laughing at the people across them. I'm like, you're entrusting us to help build your business, and you use the word vendor. You use the word partner. Yeah. And I feel like the more successful, I use the word partner. I never use the word vendor in a meeting ever. And I have a lot of partners at One SEO, at Shock IT. I need partners, right, to grow those companies, right? But when I hear the word vendor, I think AT&T.
Sure.
the machine. You don't get it when you're a small business, because the majority of these people watching this are small business owners, and they're trying to grow. It's how you communicate with your partners that really build the relationship you're talking about.
Yeah. You know, Lance, if you want to be successful, right, you can have vendors, you can have partners, right? So to be successful for me and what I believe in, if I don't entrust in the company or the salesman or the owner of the company or what they believe in as an organization, if I don't entrust in what they can do and they're not earning my trust by really showing it, then maybe they're not the partner. The partner is definitely going to get you much further because you're going to build that relationship. And when things are up and down, you're going to have those difficult conversations that happen, and it's going to make it better. I talk all the time about criticism and about change, and I call it constant gentle pressure. Because businesses, employees, consumers, they don't understand that you're constantly having to look at it and you're constantly having to critique it. You got to constantly do that. And in partnerships, you can do that. We've had several conversations where I've called you and maybe I wasn't happy about something or I needed something ramped
100%.
up. You did it overnight for me.
100%.
Because that's the flexibility of a partner. A vendor, yes, you're a number.
No doubt.
You have a service call.
And nobody
you don't
wants
know
to
who
feel
you're
like a
talking
number.
to.
No one wants to feel like a number. And I tell people that, let's talk about, we're going to talk about some social media stuff, some email marketing stuff, some website stuff. But I want to talk about your creativity during the pandemic. I know we're almost a year now to the date, actually. But you decided to do Easter baskets still this year. You decided to say, you felt so bad for kids, you literally had them be able to watch the zoo online. 100%. Can you talk to me about these things? Because that's what I think separates somebody that's a true leader and not a leader. Some people would have laid down here and said to the board, you know what, we're in a bad situation, we have a bad year, I'm going to collect my 2 rounds of PPP or whatever, we're going to get through this. You said, we're still going to get back to the community. Can you talk about why it's so important?
We did our best our best management in the pandemic. That's what leaders do. We can't run from it. We need to step up. We need to figure it out. Yes, we got some governmental support, 100%. But all of that would have went away when it takes to what it costs to feed these guys,
absolutely,
these animals. It all would have went away. We needed to figure it out. So in that regards, Lance, every day we wanted to figure out how we could do it. We were one of the first zoos, it was all over Good Morning America, we were one of the first zoos that launched a digital platform. We had cameos where all these office buildings then had to go to Zoom meetings. We would, for 20 minutes, allow our giraffe to come into that meeting. It was all over the news, it was all over Good Morning America, it got picked up nationally. We had a goat video where we let our goats play in the playground because the kids couldn't. It had over 1 million views overnight. And people started to look at it. You don't know how many people I bumped into that said, your online digital learning, my kids watch every day at 11. Every day at 11. Thank you for putting that together when schools didn't have it figured out yet.
But think about what you're saying. And I don't mean, and no offense to you, because you're a very good friend of mine. You're not like some huge big politician. Maybe you should be running the country, but that's besides the point. But you figured out a way in a very short amount of time to say, I'm a brick and mortar, I still need to get donors in here, I still need to get people to want to come back here, because we talked about this, once human behavior changes, it's hard to get people to come back into things, right?
Yep.
You went right online and said, we're going to give you digital learning, you can see our giraffes, you can see our animals, the goats playing in the playground, you started getting creative, putting more stuff on social media. Mm-hmm. Do you feel like you were fighting for survival, or did you feel like I'm going to lead the charge here and we're going to keep building?
100%. We're going to lead the charge. You started with the Easter basket thing. It was one of the first things we did. We got shut down right second week of March. Easter came soon after that, and when we found out that the kids weren't going to have Easter, I wasn't going to settle for that. We took our Easter bunnies, who are awesome, and our staff. We made custom Easter baskets, and we went all over Montgomery County. We went into Philadelphia. We went into Bucks County. We went all over the place. We sold thousands of Easter baskets. It literally saved our April because we needed to find a way to be creative and make sales when nothing was coming through the door. You know what happened with those Easter baskets? I sold every piece of merchandise that I ordered in December that showed up in March to sell to our consumers walking through the gates, we still sold every single piece, but we put it in an Easter basket. We got creative instead of letting that stuff collect dust on the shelf. We found ways to get our education and our animals closer to the consumer when the consumer was sheltered at home.
Can you talk to the people, because I always talk to people about giving back to the community, and whatever your why is going to be your why. Like, you know, mine is abused young kids, young struggling kids, juvenile delinquents. That's what I want to help.
Yep.
Why is the community of Norristown and young kids so important to Alzone? Because you really are the one leading the charge out here.
You know, born and raised in Norristown, I tell everybody I'm Norristown before I'm the zoo. Norristown gets a bad rap sometimes. We have some awesome kids. We have an amazing school district. It's important for me to get the message out, but it's more important to get the kids to be able to come into the zoo, experience something, be able, you know, we're one of the few nonprofits that can benefit each and every other nonprofit. When I brought Giraffe to Elmwood Park Zoo, for me, in the back of my mind, it was at the same time that Michael Vick was all buzzing around the Philadelphia Eagles. And I knew that education is so important to what our youth, you know, at one point in time, Michael Vick, that was his way of life as a child. That
Absolutely.
was how he was raised. And we have a lot of similar communities, and for me, if you could feed that giraffe, the largest land mammal, and you can do it here, you couldn't do it at the Philadelphia Zoo, you couldn't do it anywhere else in our area, but you can do it right here in Norristown. And you're a kid down the street here that maybe doesn't get to take the trip to Florida, but you could feed that giraffe. That gives an opportunity to change and touch that individual. It gives an opportunity. You know, you said whatever drives us, right? Mm-hmm. We like to say that we're the first in a lot of things here at Elmwood. We were the first autism certified zoo in the entire world, Lance. It's because we had an awesome team of staff. We had an awesome team of staff saying that this is an area of consumer that's being left out. What can we do better? Lance, I can't take all the credit. You can take a lot of it because you brought a lot of people here to Elmwood.
That's not me.
Listen,
You got to give.
I got to tell you something. Our team of leadership, I'd put them against anybody. Just like you build a team around great people. Some people may be smarter than others, right?
Absolutely.
But it's about that relationship, right?
100%.
It's about that drive. It's about whatever's inside them that's going to make you and your organization great. We have a great team of people to get creative, to figure it out.
You know, a lot of small businesses don't try and help the community. Can you tell them why it would benefit their business to do? Because I don't want to give the reason I
Sure.
always talk about it. Can you
So
tell them why?
when Elmwood Park Zoo was closing in 2011, I'll never forget. I wanted to do a fundraiser here at the zoo for the Norristown PAL Center, which is right down the street. Mm-hmm. And I was told at the time by the directors, and I was an outsider looking in. I was just a help with food and beverage. I was told that we're the nonprofit. We can't worry about the other nonprofit. We need to feed ourselves. And I thought that was an awful way of looking at it. If you're going to benefit other nonprofits, you're going to bring more people into your establishment, right? We don't need to be greedy. There's a lot out there that we can, you know,
There's a ton.
There's a lot out there. But I've never seen anybody who wants to help others fail in regards in the likes of other business people. I'm all about helping others. The zoo is here for the community. It's 100% here for the community, and I love that it's here in Norristown.
No, I know you believe in that, because here's a true story about Alzone, and I'm not afraid to talk about it. Is Glen Mills, I wanted to bring 100+ kids up here, and I called you up. I said, Al, can you give me the numbers on what it is? And you said, I told you, you knew my story already,
Sure.
so you're like, Lance, there is no number. I said, no, I just need to get the number. There is no number. I said, Al, I want to get. He's like, Lance, there is. He literally had. I bust him up here, and you literally let them all in here. Not one time. This was multiple years in a row. You fed them, you zip lined them, you played, and you didn't ask me for a nickel.
You know, Lance, we put together the zip line course.
Most people ain't doing that, Al.
I hear you.
I'm gonna let you know that.
Well, again, it pays tenfold. It pays because we're reaching that kid, we're helping that kid, and that's going to relate in something else that's great. It's also going to open other doors for other foundations and other organizations that want to get involved to help others as well. Okay? There's times where we need to make money, 100%.
Absolutely.
100%. But in those situations, that's not the time. There's other times. We built that zipline course because we wanted to level the playing field. I can put the biggest, strongest offensive lineman for the Philadelphia Eagles, and we've done it. on that course, and it levels the playing field. But it allows people to trust. It allows people to trust in the equipment, trust in the partner that's pushing them along. It's great for team building. We use it for companies all over, but we use it for schools. Lance, you have to have an open door. You have to have an open heart, right? You got to figure it out. You got to figure it out. There's a lot of people getting left behind. There's a lot of things we can't touch everyone, but we try, and that's what's important.
I always say, on my time on earth here, if I saved one kid with anything I did, then it was worth everything I ever did. Just one. I just changed their life.
I agree.
You know, not to change gears here, you know, you do so much with digital marketing over the last 7-8 years with us now. You went from just us building your website to SEO to PPC to remarketing. Can you talk about how during this pandemic you went and became online sales? We pivoted fast. We started selling more. We started motivating. We started putting trust factors out there online with your Google My Business, letting people know. Starting to put, can you talk about the videos, the social media? How has that impacted? Do you think that impacted your business? Well, you see the metrics, so you can talk about it.
So everybody has the smartphone today, right? Even my mom and dad who maybe didn't know how to purchase a ticket prior to the pandemic online, they figured it out because they have to or you can't get in. Well, I would let them in, but why I say that, Lance, is everybody got smarter through this. Everybody figured out what they had to do. But you see all the social media outlets. You see the TikToks. You see all the videos. It's a craze. So if you don't go in that direction, that's what people want. People want that content. When we saw the results of that goat video, when I heard on the radio here at the zoo from our staff that we were putting the goats in the playground, you're like, what the heck's about to happen now? But again, it worked. And it made connections, and it brought new people in the Elmwood Park Zoo that weren't partners with us before. That platform is global. That platform's not just the guests that live in Montgomery County. What digital marketing allows us to do is touch everyone. It allows us to get out there. It allows us to find other like-minded people that are looking for what we sell. It allows us to get into their pocket. It allows us, in their pocket, meaning in their smartphone.
Absolutely.
It allows us to get into their home. It allows us to make that connection.
And, you know, you talked about Christmas where you couldn't get anyone here for brunch. Mm-hmm. Did you ever, can you tell people what you did and how it affected you?
So our Christmas, our brunch with Santa Claus is one of our biggest shoulder months. Everybody thinks at Elmwood Park Zoo Memorial Day through Labor Day. But when kids go back to school, they stop thinking about the zoo. Right?
Absolutely.
So it's important what we do in those shoulder months, what we do in the spring, what we do in the fall and into the winter. Our Brunch with Santa is one of our biggest platforms. We sell it out every year, and we sell it out the second the ticket sales go on. But during the pandemic, people were scared. They didn't know what to do. Restaurants were open, minimal numbers. We could do the same. We needed to look at the same guidelines. We needed to create the same stuff. We did an online video. I did it myself in the chef coat. My background's food and beverage. Did it in the chef coat, and we did it on a whim. We did it quickly. I sent it over to my team. I said, edit this up. We need to get this online. We need to let people see that we are safe, just like the restaurants that they're already going to. We sold out every seating after that video hit. Every single seating, because people need to see it. They need to see it, and you need to show it to them.
You know, if someone would have said to you 5 years ago, a Facebook video, Instagram video is going to literally change you from struggling getting people in here for a Sunday brunch for Santa to you sell out, boom, 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 boom. Would you be like, get the hell out of here? Something so simple and easy.
Yeah. Lance, we have a decent marketing budget. I don't want to lie. And you have to pay for marketing. We could turn or pivot on a dime with that video and spend a couple $100 and sell out $60,000 worth of reservations.
Think about that.
Overnight.
But that's my point. Like, the ROI is so insane. Because you watch it. You're a numbers guy. You watch it. You're a numbers person. Most people don't, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to be constant with the content. You got to be consistent. You got to be creative. You got to be willing to put yourself out there. Can you talk about that for people watching? Like, I just said to someone the other day, and I hate to say this, they said, I don't want a logo on my company car. And I started laughing. I said, because it was one of my friends, I said, then tell that employee he's working for the wrong company. Mm-hmm. Like,
it's, again, back to the constant gentle pressure thing. It's all about the touches. It's all about how many times they see, hear. You may go to work out in the morning and you put on your Pandora or whatever when you're running in your headphones, and you're going to hear an ad for Elmwood Park Zoo. You get in your car, you're going to drive by a bus on your way here, you're going to see Elmwood Park Zoo. You're going to come over the bridge, you're going to see a billboard at Elmwood Park Zoo. You're going to go on your phone and you're going to go onto your Facebook and you're going to have a pop-up for Elmwood Park Zoo. It's all brand recognition. I told you earlier, Stan Husky, our Director of Government Affairs, say there's a reason why the church rings the bell every Sunday.
Absolutely.
Right? It's a great, it's true. Think about it. They're reminding you that they're there. Well, guess what? That's what you have to do in any market. You have to do it, you have to constantly remind your customer you're here.
What's the biggest challenge you've had with customers during this pandemic, would you say?
The biggest challenge I've had with customers, it's a great question. I don't think we had any challenge that was so difficult because we jumped on making them feel comfortable right away. We've had customers that in their own mind knows what they believe is wrong and what's right. In order to make our money though, we couldn't buck that system. We needed to stay course based on what our health professionals were telling us here in Montgomery County, which upset some customers, and we hate upsetting anybody. But we had to be creative. We had to be creative as to how we can get our guests into the zoo. But I don't think we had any struggle with the customer once the customer was able to figure out his or her own struggles.
You know, leading a team is not easy. People don't understand. People think they see Al. I mean, you always dress nice. You're a good-looking guy. Everyone, and because of social media, I call it the Kardashian factor. Everyone thinks the CEO of these organizations, you know, they're just out sleeping on yachts and drinking champagne and eating strawberries, and life's one big party. And it's actually quite the opposite.
100%.
That's all these people show because I truly believe they're bullshit artists. Yeah. The true CEO like you, talk to me about the pressure and the stress you've had,
Lance,
this year. I'm just curious.
I have this saying, don't let the dress shoes fool you. 100%. I will throw down and get as dirty as anybody on this team. And that's how I lead every day. I said to you about letting the experts do what the experts do. I do believe that true leaders can lead any company, whether they're running a catering company or they're running a zoo. I didn't know anything about animals prior to coming here, but I knew about catering and what that means to me. Catering is more than just food on a plate. It's about the customer. It's about your family. It's about your employees and how you cater to each and every situation. When I was younger and I played sports, I had a coach that had one coaching style. Today, that doesn't work.
No.
You need to have a coaching style for each and every employee you have and every consumer that comes through the gate. So for me, to lead this zoo, it's about motivating. It's about getting your employees, getting the most out of your team, to be creative. Give them what they need. Sometimes they're not always happy with me, 100%. That happens in business. But give them what you need. Give them what they need. Constant gentle pressure. Always be in front of them and reminding them. I remember, and I'll be quick with this, I remember I had 22 solo tackles in one football game. It was an NCAA record for most solo tackles in one game. There's been more tackles, but solo tackles, 22. It was a record that didn't last very long. But why I say that, Lance, why I say that was...
Al Bundy didn't break it, did he?
No, no. But why I say that is when I sat in that film session the next day, my coach critiqued everything I did wrong. Why did you step over here? Why'd you step back? Why's your head over here? Why's your head on the wrong side of the tackle? And you learn from it, right? Today's business is a little different. Today's business becomes all those things I did right, but yet Lance Bachman wants to tell me about what I did wrong today. So for me, it's about constantly reminding them that I'm not criticizing the employee. I'm criticizing that performance at that time so it doesn't happen again. And that's how you lead. And that's how you lead through pandemics. You need to be ahead of it. You can't wait for it to come to you. It won't come. There's zoos that remained closed and just opened. That's not good enough.
I don't know how they're going to make it long term because the PPP isn't going to keep you going. If you got animals to feed, you got a whole system you got to feed. Let's talk about this. What is your favorite part about digital marketing and why?
What's my favorite part about digital marketing is you can pivot, and you've used that word a lot. I think my team makes fun of me about how much time I use it. You can pivot on a dime. You can change your message instantly based on what the consumer is looking for. You can change it like that. If it's working, great. If it's not, you can change it, and you can fix it, and you can constantly show them something different. When you pay for print, I still do it too. When you pay for print, it's done.
It's done.
It's done. When you pay for digital, it changes, and it can change relatively simple.
You know, what is the best thing about One SEO and Elmwood Zoo's relationship, would you say?
You.
Me?
100%.
Damn, I'm flattered.
You have a lot of employees. You have a lot of employees. But when I need something from the head of your company, I get a call directly from you. Your team works great with us. If they're not, you make a change. Not everybody's going to mesh together, right,
100%.
all the time. You're constantly bringing new and fresh ideas to us. We talked earlier about the beacon technology. I didn't know anything about beacon technology. I had no idea. I thought I was going to be on some Star Trek show. But you help us stay relevant. You are spending the money and the research on what is the next hot way to tell your message. I don't have those resources. I have you, though, and you're going to keep me relevant.
You track everything here, Al. I know you're a numbers person. Out of all the advertising you do, what brings the most newest customers that were never here before?
Online presence, digital, online searches. That
makes me feel good. Online, yeah. There you go.
I said earlier that it's almost scary how much you can know about a person based on what they look at online and where they browse. But it allows us to get ourselves in front of the consumer that maybe didn't know that we were here. So that's all that digital online marketing.
I'm going to change the final roar a little different now because me and you were friends. I hope you don't mind me asking this. You grew up poor.
Yeah.
You grew up in Norristown. You didn't grow up wealthy. You're sitting here in a beautiful suit. You're wearing a nice watch. You have a great life. Mm-hmm. What would you say to that 13, 12-year-old, 9-year-old, 14-year-old boy that's watching this, or girl,
sure,
that's saying, I want to be a CEO of an organization the size of this, if not bigger? What would you say to that person right now? Well, and they're thinking, I can't do it because I'm not wealthy.
Yeah. I'm going to turn to them if I could.
Absolutely.
Lance, to answer that question, what I would tell anybody looking to get to that next level is it's okay to dream, right? When I came to Elmwood Park Zoo, I had vision when nobody had vision of Elmwood Park Zoo, but I cared about it. I dreamt about it. Maybe something I saw on television, maybe something I saw online, maybe something I remember as a child. But I had vision, and I pushed for it. I never take no for an answer. I constantly find a way to, again, get to that next level. I have a lot of drive, even when it's hard and it's not there and I'm beaten and I failed. I had a lot of failures. But I constantly push forward to see whatever I need to do that sticks. You gotta push. You gotta find ways to make it happen, just like you. You were down.
Oh yeah.
You were down and a lot of people counted you out, right?
Well, I always say you can either prove them right or wrong.
100%.
It's either one or the other.
You got one choice. You can pick one. Yeah. There's no in the middle.
Alzone, thank you so much for being on the show today. I really appreciate it, and I'm very lucky to have you as a friend, brother.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this content, please don't forget to follow me at Lance Bachman on Instagram and Twitter. Follow me on Facebook at Lance Bachman Digital. And every Thursday we drop a new podcast. Don't forget to listen to it. We're giving out great content. And remember this is the time to build your business right now. Let's effing go, everybody.